C.S. Lewis was part of the Inklings, an informal writers group who often met up here at the Eagle and Child pub. His close friend and fellow Christian J.R.R. Tolkien was also in the group.
Tolkien was a man of faith right from the beginning. His Catholicism really mattered to him. And he began to realize that he could express his faith through writing.
In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. Not a nasty, dirty, wet hole, filled with the ends of worms and an oozy smell, nor yet...
Well, the world of The Lord of the Rings is not Christian at all, but it is about the battle between good and evil. It's about trying to make sense of things, and it's also how do we become good people and live virtuous lives. As you read The Lord of the Rings, there are a number of themes that leap out. Power corrupts. We have this inbuilt tendency to go for things that aren't really all that important, and sometimes these things take us over and corrupt us. And in many ways, one of the questions that Tolkien is asking is, what is it that is good that we should be seeking for that doesn't corrupt us, but makes us into good people?
What was the relationship between Lewis and Tolkien?
I think for many years, Lewis was Tolkien's closest friend, and it was a very important relationship for both of them. It began in the 1920s, when nobody had ever heard of C.S. Lewis or J.R.R. Tolkien. They met, they began to talk about great literary ideas, and Tolkien was instrumental in bringing Lewis to a Christian faith. Tolkien helped Lewis to see that the Christian way of thinking about God really made more sense than everything else, and above all, I think, helped him to understand the importance of stories in making sense of the world and also making sense of our individual lives.
And was it a lifelong friendship?
Sadly, the relationship between Tolkien and Lewis had its ups and downs, and towards the end of Lewis's life it mostly had its downs. I think Tolkien felt that Lewis's Narnia novels weren't all that well written, but Tolkien turned up to Lewis's funeral, and I think that by the end of Lewis's life, Tolkien had in effect forgiven him for whatever had gone wrong.
On Lewis's gravestone are the words, "Men must endure their going hence." Where does that come from?
Those were the words on Lewis's family calendar when his mother died back in 1908. And his brother who designed the gravestone wanted to connect Lewis's death with that of his mother. But Lewis himself had a vibrant hope. He believed passionately in the resurrection. He likened the resurrection to being like a flower bursting into bloom above a dark earth. And you know, I think Lewis reminds us of the great themes of faith, that beyond this visible world, there's something even better, and one day we're going to be there.
My favourite stories are a tie between Murder on the Orient Express or Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Born to Run is my favourite book because it helped me with my dyslexia.
My favourite book is Life of Pi. I like it because it talks about God in different ways, and it also talks about animals and family and adventure as well.
This is my favourite book because I like horses. And I like princess horses.
I like Harry Potter because J.K. Rowling makes it exciting.
Children do love stories, don't they? And it's that inspired our next hymn. William Parker was a Sunday school teacher in Nottinghamshire, and when his students kept begging him to tell us another story, he wrote the poem, Tell Me the Stories of Jesus. We're going to hear that sung now by our senior school choir of the year from the High School of Glasgow.
Tell me the stories of Jesus, I love to hear. Things I would ask him to tell me, he would hear. Scenes by the wayside, tales of the sea, stories of Jesus, tell them to me. First let me hear how the children stood round his knee,
And I shall fancy his blessing resting on me.
words full of kindness, deeds full of praise, all in the love light of Jesus' face. Show me that scene in the garden of bitter pain. Show me the cross where my Saviour for me was slain. Sad ones or bright ones, so that they be stories of Jesus, tell them to me.
Michael Morpurgo has written over 100 books, including the bestseller Warhorse, which is now a film and a West End play. He started telling stories at a very early age.
As a little kid, I have to say, I was a bit of a fibber. And I found very early on I could tell a story and people would believe it, which is rather essential for a story maker, a fiction writer.
What makes a good story then, do you think?
One that resonates with the audience. There is usually a young person at the centre of the story. Very often that person's under threat or is alone, and the listener empathises with that. But a really great story, a really great novel, a really great play, a really great movie moves you. It touches your heart. It makes you think. And that, I think, is the most important thing, that a child comes away from a story wondering about it.
Where do you get your inspiration from?
Always from moments, from things I've seen, people I've met, and in the case of On Angel Wings, from sitting in a carol service, not paying proper attention, whilst the story of the shepherds and the angel coming down and telling them to leave their hillside and go off to see this wonderful baby being born. It takes the story a different way, but leaving it all the respect that it's due because of what it means to many of us. By adding to it just a bit, it'll enable a child to think, well, yeah, I can see that. I can really hear these voices now.
So are you writing something at the moment?
Yes, I've just recently been, and I've never done this before, I've been trying to write a Christmas carol. In a way, I suppose it's a bit of a family tradition. My family has a rather extraordinary family tree going back to the Wesley family, Charles and John and Sebastian. And for me, standing, one of my very private moments, which I suppose no longer will be private, is at the end of each carol service, there I am singing Hark, Herald Angels Sing, and I'm thinking, yeah, we've done that. Makes me feel rather good.
That's where he'd been on that first Christmas night, all those years before, the night it happened, or that's what he told us. We'd be wrapped in our cloaks and huddled round the fire, the sheep shifting around us in the darkness, and we'd be ready and waiting for the story to begin.